Welcome in to the Triple H podcast, folks. Happy Hour Hoops, your one-stop shop for enjoying a cold beverage and listening to our ice-cold basketball takes. Dunny and Jake Micah, as always, joined by our guest from Trainwreck Sports, Ty B. Today, we're going to talk a little NBA. If the season ended today, we'll give you guys some award picks, how the playoff picture would look, go through some news and notes from around the league. But first, I must mention that Happy Hour Hoops and Trainwreck Sports is presented by or brought to you by Manscaped. They have the third generation trimmer that features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. All their stuff is premium. Go to manscaped.com, use the code word Trainwreck at checkout. You will receive 20% off and free shipping. Go check out Manscaped, and let's talk about some other balls, guys. Let's talk about basketball.
Let's get into it. Let's go. So the biggest news, I guess we should touch on the All-Star game. It's kind of been, it was, like a couple days ago. People usually forget about it. But how'd you guys like the All-Star? Did you watch like any of the All-Star game? I know me and Ty were kind of half focused on AEW during the All-Star game, but I still have my eye on it. So Dunny, what was your favorite part? Like, did you think it was worth it? Was it worth having it there?
I still don't know from a COVID standpoint if it was worth it. Right after the weekend ended, there was no positive test, and none have been reported since. So that's obviously a plus. I honestly enjoyed the challenges more than the game this year. I think I don't know if it was just because I was pretty heavily invested in the 3-point contest between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both being in it. I thought the dunk contest at halftime, although I would have liked it to be longer and had some more participants, I thought that was a cool idea. And then Sabonis winning the skills challenge was just awesome. I love Sabonis. But yeah, the game itself, kind of what you expect always. No defense, huge scoring game. Giannis not missing a shot was pretty sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty average for me. I obviously tuned in, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with Dunny. I think it's sort of run-of-the-mill All-Star weekend, nothing spectacular because you didn't get to have that, full theatrical dunk competition and everything else like we're used to. But it was really cool to see, Giannis's performance in the first All-Star game where we have the All-Star MVP named after Kobe Bryant. So that was a cool moment for Giannis to win that. It seemed like it really meant a lot to him. So that was probably the highlight of the weekend for me.
Yeah, that was dope. There's always the one dude at every All-Star game that just you can tell just wants it, like wants MVP more than anything. And you could tell like from the jump it was Giannis. So that was like LeBron picking Giannis first, bro. That was honestly that was the best pick he could have made right there because he knew the dude was just gonna go off. Bron sat for the second half. He's like, you know what, Giannis? You got this, buddy. Like, this is your moment here. So yeah, that was cool. I think it was perfect that Steph was super dramatic in the 3-point contest and brought it down to the last ball. Because like you knew he was winning the whole time. Like he was like, really, Steph's gonna lose a 3-point contest 1-on-1 against anybody, and then it just gets right down to the last ball, and you just know like immediately that shit was going in. But the 3-point contest is fun, bro. Like I honestly kind of like it more than the dunk contest now. Because I just think like you get that excitement at the end.
Yeah.
The judges in the dunk contest, you never know what you're gonna get with those
Mountain Dew ball too from 29.5.
Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, am I in a fever dream right now? Like what's going on? That's dope though. That's
he hits the Baja Blast ball from half court. That's 5 points added onto his score.
The way Steph and Dame were shooting, bro, they would have been hitting all the Baja Blast balls.
I was gonna say you might as well throw that in there with the way the guys shoot nowadays. But yeah, I definitely enjoy the Mountain Dew ball.
Yeah, that was a good little ad in there. All right, so the actual news from besides the biggest news out of All-Star Weekend was that Blake Griffin had secured his buyout from the Pistons, and he was going to join the team over the weekend. There were rumors about a bunch of teams, but he decided to sign with the Brooklyn Nets, his old boy DeAndre Jordan, and the Nets just collecting as many superstars, former and current, as they can on this squad now. So, Ty B, how you feeling about Blake Griffin these days?
Yeah, I mean, Clipper for life, Blake Griffin. I was hoping, he would come back to LA and help, bring a championship there. But that's not the way the cookie crumbled. He ends up in Brooklyn. I think that's a great spot for him. They need some more bigs there on that team. Obviously, it's not the Blake Griffin of old. He's gonna have to, play a little bit more defense and do some more things that he wasn't necessarily leaned upon to do before, when he was a superstar. But I think he can be a great addition to that roster. Being able to shoot the three ball as a big really helps, especially with that roster where you're playing, 6'2" guys at center, which I'll get into later. But yeah, I think that's a great landing spot for him, right, Dunny?
Yeah, I really like the pick for the Nets. He came out and said too that I think it was either between the Lakers or the Nets when it really came down to it, and he just thought that he was a better fit on the Nets, and I think that makes sense. Of course, anyone who it was previously a six-time All-Star would probably be a good fit with KD, Kyrie, and Harden, but like you mentioned, Jake, he's played alongside DeAndre Jordan for X amount of years on the Clippers. Ty B, you mentioned his outside shooting. I mean, their idea of small ball that the Nets could go to now is pretty unbelievable. And then just Blake's a really underrated playmaker in general too. I mean, we've seen many games this year where the Nets have been shorthanded. They really haven't had many games where their big three has played together. And just so adding a guy like Blake who can shoot, obviously he's been wildly known as a dunker throughout his whole career, but he is a playmaker now. He knows how to find an open man, and he just kind of has that stardom factor too. Put him on the court and your team is probably going to get better. He had, a tough time with the Pistons recently, and his whole tenure there wasn't great, but, the people saying Blake Griffin's washed up, I don't know if I'm buying into that.
Well, he's gonna have the easiest shots he's fucking had in years with the Brooklyn Nets too, and he's got that that long range game now more than he ever has. This year's numbers have just been it just hasn't been good. Like you can just tell he's dropped off a cliff a little bit, but it doesn't mean he still can't be a useful guy, especially just having a guy like that that's played in those kind of games in the locker room again too. Just with they got some young bigs on that team they're trying to bring along too. With Claxton's probably I don't think he's. It's just going to be interesting, where the minutes go along with their bigs, because I feel like it could just be a game-to-game basis between Blake and DeAndre and Claxton, and getting Jeff Green his small ball minutes too. Because Jeff Green's been the best guy out of all those guys, I think, at least the most effective for what they're trying to do. But man, good for Blake if he goes and gets if there's anybody that deserves a ring, like a superstar like that, it's definitely Blake Griffin. He's up there on that list for me. Tybee, are you? Sorry, I don't know if we've touched on the former Clippers teams in the past a lot with you here. Were you a Blake Griffin guy? Were you a big CP guy? Where did you fall?
No, I was always a Jamal Crawford guy.
Fair enough.
First and foremost.
Right answer.
But Blake was my next ride or die. I just love the I love the way he plays, the excitement he brought in every single game. You're gonna get some sort of spectacular plays out of him, and the way he continued to just add things to his arsenal year after year, and you could see he was really working on it and trying to be better and really trying to get them over that hump. It wasn't his fault to any means that they never got to and won a championship or anything, because he was putting in that work, and I'd love to see him get one here.
No doubt.
We'll see.
The other news and notes from around the league, it's another veteran addition to a good team in the NBA. Not as exciting as Blake Griffin, but
this isn't the 2K signing. That's for damn sure.
Right. but maybe going a little unnoticed, as the red hot Utah Jazz, best record in the NBA, signed veteran Ersan Ilyasova to a minimum deal for the remainder of the season. I saw this because of a Woj tweet. I think this is a signing that will probably be ignored, but I actually really like this for the Utah Jazz. Me and Jake have talked about many times how the Utah Jazz can really play any style of basketball. And I think the only thing that you could criticize this year's Jazz team with is that they don't have bigs that can shoot from the outside. And what do? They go get a guy who has done that for his entire career, and now they can really, really play any style of basketball with Ersan. I don't think he's going to log many minutes, but it just filled the only gap that they had on this squad.
Yeah, it's a very, like you said, it's like a malleable team, and that this is just one of those things that's gonna just gonna help them out with everything that they want to do, spreading the floor. Dude plays. I mean, he's not a great defender, but I think people underrate him defensively just because how he looks out there. He's kind of just an awkward looking dude out in the court, honestly. But he's been effective, bro. I remember when he got picked up a couple years ago in Philly. I mean, that was a huge signing for them when they were making that first run all together. It was a little disappointing last year, the last 2 years with Milwaukee that he was in the league, but it was also, I mean, they just had a lot of minutes going out to other guys. Brook Lopez taking a lot of minutes away there. Giannis obviously he's averaging like 34, 35 minutes a night at that point. It just didn't seem like it was a good fit, even though it would have seemed when on paper, when he signed with them, everybody was kind of excited for him to make an impact. The Jazz like you said, the rich get richer, man. That it's these kind of moves that, that he's a guy that could go into a playoff game and hit like 3 threes when he's out there in a span of a couple minutes and change a game for sure. So we'll see what happens with the Jazz going forward. We'll see what our real opinions are on the Jazz coming up here, actually, as we segue into what our little exercise here that we're going to do today. So today we are going to first make our happy hour hoops halfway mid-season award picks. We're going to go through the odds, and each of us will give you a pick, and then we will go through each and every playoff matchup. If the season were to have ended today, we will decide who we think will win each series and who will eventually be our illustrious happy hour hoops halfway NBA champion. So we will start off with giving you guys a little breakdown on the new play-in rules that happened today. So today, the NBA announced their play-in rules for the play-in games that will happen right after the season concludes on, I believe the first play-in game is May 18th. And the 7 and 8 seed from each conference will play each other, and the winner of that game will be the 7 seed for that conference. The loser will then play the winner of the 9 and 10 seeds game when they play each other, and obviously the loser of that game will be out of the playoffs. So, guys, how do you feel? Let's start here with you, Dunny. How do you feel about this little wrinkle they're adding into the play-in after last year? I feel like it's just going to be crazy, like buzzer-beating March Madness style basketball between these bottom seeds just trying to grind for that last playoff spot.
Yeah, I really like it, and I like how you kind of touched on right as the season concludes. That's when these games will happen, and I think in years past there's kind of been like that. When the season ends, you kind of are just like, oh, okay, now I want the playoffs like right away. I think this is a good little segue into the playoffs we talked about it before we hopped on the podcast. I think in both conferences, these playing games will be super exciting. You mentioned you probably have a little March Madness feel to them. Winner go home in some situations. So I love it. I think it's a great idea. And especially, for those teams' fans who in years past, they would just miss the playoffs, go home, and you'd have to wait for next season. At least you have a game and a shot at it. So I'm on board with this. I actually really like it, and I honestly can't wait for the playing games.
Yeah, I mean, I think the league did a good job with it last season. At the end of their little quick 8-game span or whatever, and then those games getting into the playoffs for the bubble, and they realized, hey, that's extra television revenue that we can generate to make up for some of those losses. So why wouldn't you do it? It's exciting, and it desensitivizes tanking as well. And when you're looking at leagues like the NHL, you look at the parity. How can you get closer to that if you're the NBA, so everyone has a chance? We're going to get close to that with the amount of superstars that are coming into the league through the drafts, over these next couple of years, hopefully, where, we'll see a little bit more of a balance here. But I think it just makes for, a ton of excitement. There's some very interesting matchups down there, especially in the East.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great to bet on. It's gonna be great to watch all day. Like if they do like just back to back both nights, and then having maybe it's 3 double headers in a row. I don't know exactly how they're gonna do the schedule, but no matter how it's going to be, like it's going to be. Last year's game was awesome. Like that Memphis Portland game was electric, and I wish it would have went too. But it was Portland coming back too late. Like Memphis was up the whole time in control, and then you just had the drama of Dame and everything. That's the kind of shit I'm looking for in these games. So before we get to our play-in picks, we'll start off with the award picks. So we'll start off with Defensive Player of the Year. Currently, Rudy Gobert, minus 200. He is the favorite. We got Ben Simmons around there, Miles Turner, Giannis, Joel Embiid. Those are kind of the names that are near the top of the board there for that. So, Dunny, what are you thinking here? Is it Rudy's to lose, or do you got somebody else coming in here?
I think I'm gonna go with your guy Ben Simmons, Jake.
Wow.
I'm normally a Ben Simmons hater, but just looking at what the Sixers are doing this year and him having to take criticism for his defense year and or his offense year in and year out is primarily his shooting. I think it's great to see him come out and just kind of dominate on the opposing side of the floor. And he does it kind of quietly. I mean, he is in this discussion more often than not, and he's visibly a good defender. But I think just the hate that people throw at him because of his jump shot and because of that, a lot of his game is overlooked, not offensively but also defensively. And we've talked about it before. He can guard legitimately 1 through 5, especially in small ball scenarios, and he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. I really like Ben for this pick.
I think I'm going with Rudy. I think it just the way the Jazz have been playing. If they continue their hot streak and to stay at the top of the West, you look at their defensive efficiency and the amount of blocks he gets and everything else. You just count it all up, and it's a recipe for Rudy to get another Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow, I've been waiting. We started this podcast in July, and I've been waiting all this time for Dunny to hype up the 76ers, and it finally happened today, March 10th, 2021. I'm going Ben Simmons too. I have to. I can't. I've been on here too much hyping him up this whole year, and I got to stick by it. I think definitely if Rudy Gobert keeps playing like this, it's going to be him. But I mean, if for some reason Utah takes a down spin and Philly keeps ascending like they are, people are going to start noticing the Simmons things, especially when he starts getting in these big games, big national TV games they have in the second half of the year. Like if he's shutting people down, locking people up, which he's been doing all year long, it might get him a little more narrative momentum, because I think people just hate on the Jazz at this point. But who knows? I mean, it's really, I don't know if people, like, we talk about those narrative things for MVP a lot. I don't know how much it goes into Defensive Player of the Year, if it's like it's the same kind of level of it, but we'll see. I think Gobert is definitely the heads-on favorite, though, but I'd love to see it go to Simmons because he's been killing it this year. Let's go to Most Improved Player. We'll go Jeremy Grant, the favorite, is minus 250. They got Julius Randle, Christian Wood, our boy Jaylen Brown are up at the top, and then everybody else kind of the odds, are a lot lower. We got Levine, Chris Boucher, Shai Gilgeous in the plus 33-1 range. So, Ty B, who do you think is the most improved player in the NBA this year so far?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think I might go Shai just because of the consistency that he's finding. Like some of these guys, they make a pretty decent jump, but like they're still putting up like role player numbers. But like Shai is really like proving he's like a legitimate, I won't say star in the league, but like a more than good, like to great player at this point. And he just continues to grow. And if he continues with that frame that he has, like getting better on the defensive end as well as improving offensively, he can really be a force.
Yes, sir. What about you here, Dunny?
This is a tough one. I mean, I want to go Jaylen, but I don't, obviously. But I don't think he's deserving of it. I think he's improved greatly, and but I don't know. It's kind of the opposite of what Ty B said. Like I feel like Jaylen's been playing at kind of a high level for a few years now, and his jump hasn't been drastic enough where I think he's deserving of this award. I probably would have said Christian Wood before his injury, but now his time being sidelined, I think, is really hurting his case for this. I don't usually like going for the, outright favorite in this situation, especially where there's no plus money. But yeah, I think I got to go Jeremy Grant here. I mean, he's having an unbelievable year with the Pistons. Blake leaving town really helps his case, and I think he's just going to keep improving.
Yeah, I was really wanted to say Julius Randle right now and give a whole defense for that, but I think Julius Randle's getting better numbers than he ever has, but the defense and kind of the offensive and rebounding that he's shown spurts of that throughout his career. I feel like this is more like if improving on consistency would be like a big jump, you could show that. But Grant, I didn't know Jeremy Grant had this shit in him, bro. When he went to go sign for big money in Detroit, I was like, what is he doing? I was like, no, I wasn't, what is he doing? I was happy for him. I was more like, what is Detroit doing? And now he's out here averaging like a legit 25 points a game and everything. It's like, all right, maybe this dude had more in him than he was getting used in Denver. And he really wanted to show it, and he's been showing out now. So yeah, I think I'm not going to bet on it with the minus 250, but I just think that he's got to be a lock at this point if he's still averaging that kind of like elite scoring numbers for the first time of his career. Let's go to Coach of the Year quick. I feel like this one's all up in the air because it's just going to depend where people fall by the end of the year. So who do you guys think is Coach your favorite? Tibbs, let's go. Can we get it started?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't really think it's that big of a debate. Like they're the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference right now. If you look at anyone's prognostications from before the season, I don't think anyone had them finishing, higher than like 20th in the league. So yeah, like Tibbs all the way, hands down.
Dunny,
yeah, if I were to put a wager on it, I would also go Tibbs. I could see Quinn Snyder or Doc Rivers getting the nod here. But from actually getting the award, but I think, Ty Beacon hit the nail on the head right there. Just this not only prior to this season, the shit that the Knicks have got for being bad, just for the last decade. And then for Tibbs to come in and kind of, people still had their doubts about this roster, and I'm sure they still do. And I think they're still a piece away from where they want to be, but what Tibbs has done, and obviously the addition of D Rose and how he's having these guys play, with one another, kind of bringing a toughness back to New York basketball. I think I got to go Tibbs as well.
Wow. I was not expecting the double Tibbs from you guys. That threw me for a loop. Shit, bro. I'm giving it to Pop. Fuck it. If the Spurs are a 4 seed, if the Spurs are a 4 seed or 5 seed in the West, Pop is first of all, we both got great odds here for this because Pop is 30-1 and Tibbs is 33-1. But I think it's both it's the same kind of thing. If both those teams end up top 5, top 4 in their respective conferences, no one thought that was happening before this year, either of them. So it'd just be an impressive coaching job. So I'm going Pop. I want the value out of it. Realistically, I think they usually it's probably maybe Quinn Snyder is actually a candidate, but I just can't see it. I don't know. I can't see. He looks like a vampire, bro. I don't know if I can see him winning anything. I've never seen him in the daytime. So
yeah.
So I'm just saying. But all right, Rookie of the Year, quick. We will go into. It is LaMelo is a minus 500 favorite.
Jeez.
I don't even think we need to talk about that. It's LaMelo Ball, right?
I was gonna say it's quick because I'm on LaMelo.
That's why I was I'm picking LaMelo. It's not even a question.
Especially after the jersey swap with Melo, it was kind of a passing off of the nickname.
That's true. Yeah. He's earned it.
I think James Wiseman had a case early on, but LaMelo is just head and shoulders above.
Yeah, IQ is probably first team all rookie, Halliburton, and then no one else really.
Yeah, my heart says Tyrese Halliburton, but my head says LaMelo Ball.
Yeah,
that's facts.
So does my wallet.
All right, so MVP. This is. I feel like we could get the most contentious here because this could be for all over the place. I feel like this is the most up in the air MVPs we've had in a while. But Joel and LeBron are the two favorites as of right now. Joel plus 200, LeBron plus 250, Jokic plus 450. He's right behind. We've got Luka, Giannis, Steph, Dame, Harden hanging around the top of here. So I'll start with you, Dunny. Who would be your MVP pick right now if the season were to end today?
I think Meerkat's gonna be a little pissed at me about this because my pick is Joker, but I'm going JoJo. I'm going Joel Embiid. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm just loving the 76.
I know this is twice, bro.
This has nothing to do with the team as a whole. This is strictly individuals. Good thing I didn't pick Doc for Coach of the Year. But yeah, I just think Embiid is a monster this season. Kind of same thing as, Simmons being overlooked defensively because of his poor shooting. I think Embiid has gotten, harsh criticism the last few years about not being in shape, him not being the right fit with Simmons, just all these little things. And then Embiid comes out and is just really getting 40 on any given night, having 40-point games with 17 rebounds, just dominating a team through all four quarters and just earning the Sixers these wins this year, putting them in first place of the Eastern Conference. I think right now, which is what we're doing, if the season ended today, I'm going Joel Embiid.
Yeah, this is tough for me because, if the season ended right now, I'm probably going Nikola Jokic. But if I'm, prognosticating where my money's going to the end of the season, I'm betting on Luka. And, he struggled coming out of the gates. He just wasn't in shape. And those first 10 games, he shot 26% from three. That's not Luka. He's 40% from three since then. And he's averaging almost 30 points per game, 9 assists, and almost 8 rebounds. If he put that up the entire time, I would have it as Luka. If he continues it, I think he's got a chance to win it after finishing 4th last year. He's more efficient and playing a little bit better defensively as well. But if we're giving it midseason, I'm going Jokic. The dude has just been doing it all, and he's another one of those guys. He just continues to add things to his arsenal that you didn't think he could do. The passing gets better and better every year. And I know, Jamal Murray has been hot this last stretch here, but Jamal was struggling early on, and Jokic really carried that team, and he can do it any night. I'm going with the Joker.
I'm in that same dilemma with you because if I was picking it for the end of the year, I was going to pick Damian Lillard by the end of the year if I'm prognosticating, because they're getting CJ back, and I think that the Lakers and Clippers are still in danger of just not caring as much about the regular season, caring about the seed. Mm-hmm. And that could be if the Blazers are the team that are up to the task, they could sneak in ahead of all those teams and get up there. And if they make a run to say the Blazers are all of a sudden randomly the 2 seed in the West and Dame is, averaging 32 points a game the rest of the year, something like that, I could see it because damn well media members would love to give Damian Lillard an MVP and give him that run. Well deserved, obviously. I would love to see it too. But since it is today, I'm going with LeBron James because I just think if it was to end today, and they have not been on a good run at the end here, and that might hurt him in the long run, but just it seems like the momentum has just been carried over from last year with everybody having him in this conversation. But it's not like he hasn't put up the stats to back it up. He's had some bad shooting recently, but at the beginning of the year he was a flamethrower shooting the ball. Yeah. And it's kind of evened out to back to the mean at this point. But I just think with the way that they've been playing all year long and what we know about how tight this field is, I'm giving it to LeBron if it's a close field when it's like this. That being said, also if this was projecting forward, I don't think LeBron's even close in this conversation by the end of the year. I just think that, it's just, are the Lakers going to try to do anything the rest of the year? I just feel like they're not even going to attempt to win games really the rest of the regular season, as much as they're going to say that they go hard every game and all that. I just don't believe it. And I'll believe it when I see it, I guess. More than anything.
No, I'm right there with you, and I think it gives the opportunity to a lot of these guys who are playing on these other teams who are going to be battling for spots night in and night out to really put up some numbers. Like I don't know, that's where I see Luka or Dame really making a run at this. I think there's just especially if you're betting, the values there on those types of guys right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's why if you're going value, like James Harden at 25-1, I think it's still a good pick. Luka right now is 12-1, that's great value. You could get Dame 20-1. So yeah, there's good
I
value.
mean, if Luka puts up 39 and 8 over a full season, he wins MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done minus 10 games. So
yeah, that's facts.
That's all I'm saying. But guys, I gotta go hop on Trainwreck Call for a little bit here. Hopefully it's quick. I'll be able to hop back in to make
Sounds
my picks
good.
on the playoffs. But thank you for having me. If not, but have fun. I'm excited to see who you guys pick because I know who I'm going with, and especially in these playing games. If you don't get them right, I'm gonna be all over you guys on Twitter.
All right, we will keep you posted on what we get here.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Bobby.
Oh, it went off. Nice. All right, so let's get into it then right here. The Eastern Conference play-in game. Game 1, Hornets versus Raptors. It'll be the 7 seed versus the 8 seed. What are you thinking, Dunny?
It's so tough because it's not a series. And I think if it was series, I have a different answer. But playing game, I think I'm going Hornets this year. Wait, have they determined what they're doing for home court, or is it a neutral court, or do we know anything?
I believe it's home team.
Like the higher seed gets a home team or a home court?
No, I think you're right. I think that they were leaning towards like a neutral court, but I don't think they've decided it yet.
Okay. Yeah, if it's just the plan, which it obviously is, I'm going Hornets. I think this year's group with LaMelo, I think they're high energy. I think they are the type of team that would live up to this type of challenge, just one and done. I think if this is a series, I'm going Toronto, but Toronto's had some issues this year. Star players not really playing up to their true potential. The move, playing in Tampa, not having any true home games. Yeah, I think I would go Hornets here.
All right, so Bulls Pacers is the other game. I think I'm with you on the Hornets as well. If it comes down to that, I don't know about Toronto. I was back on the bandwagon, and then they just kind of shit the bed going down the stretch, and I don't think this team has incentive to win. I think Kyle Lowry's probably going to get moved eventually. So, yeah, I'm with you on the Hornets. The Hornets will get in there. They will play the Nets in the first round. Bulls, Pacers, who do you think gets that and gets the right to play the Toronto Raptors for that 8 seed?
Pacers.
I think so.
Pacers just from I don't know why my Siri popped up and it's just listening to me talk about the Pacers, but yeah, I'm going Indiana over Chicago.
I'm with you on that. I think that it would be nice. It'll be nice to see the Bulls in there if they're in this situation, but I'm going with the Pacers as well. So we have the Raptors and Pacers. What are we going to come down to here? I feel like me and you are going to be split. We're going to have to figure out a way that we're going to move one of these teams along. I'm picking the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I was saying Pacers just because I think the experience there and the way Sabonis is playing, the way Sabonis and Miles Turner are playing, I feel like they'd play some bully ball. I'm assuming TJ Warren would be back at this time. I'm not really sure on his injury, but he's also kind of one of those hard-nosed, tough players. So I think Pacers get the win over the Bulls. I think I'm going with you, though, and just experience and coaching with the Raptors. I think they would beat the Pacers and take that 8 seed.
All right, yeah. I think the Raptors, if they're in that position, that we should I just can't expect them to not be in the playoffs when it comes down to that. That's really what it comes down to. I think it looks right The Hornets definitely belong in there. I think it looks right to have the Raptors in there. But the Pacers definitely, that'd be interesting if the Pacers end up missing the playoffs completely. Well, there could be some big changes coming there in Indy. Like, who knows what they're going to do. All right, the West playing games are very interesting. The 7-8 game, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Dallas Mavericks. Who do you got?
Going Spurs. I think the Spurs have looked, very good this year, kind of exceeding expectations, if you will, and the Mavericks are on the opposite side of that. I think everyone thought Luka and the Mavericks as a whole would take a big leap. I think everyone anticipated this Porzingis Doncic duo being a lot better than it is. We've touched on this a couple times. Them losing Seth Curry was way bigger of a blow than they thought. Their wings and shooters around Luka and KP haven't really lived up to the hype. And you mentioned, Pop could sneak in and get Coach of the Year. I think he missed the playoff season ago, and I don't think he's gonna if he is in this playing situation. I don't think a Greg Popovich team is going to lose.
No, not to the Dallas Mavericks either. Fuck that. That would be the Pop's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Warriors, Grizzlies. I think we got to pick Steph Curry here, right? I can't pick against Steph Curry. So
I don't see Kerr or Curry losing in a play-in game, especially if Draymond's there.
Memphis back-to-back years losing in play-ins to Steph and Dame.
I know. I don't want to say that Memphis is going to get bounced, but
it's got to happen.
Yeah, Joe will be back. He'll have a solidified playoff spot in years to come. So he has to go through the rough patches to shine.
So Warriors Mavericks for the last playoff spot, which would be an absolutely electric game to watch.
They've already had some great games this season.
They have. I am leaning towards the Golden State Warriors because I just want to see Steph Curry in the playoffs.
I'm going Golden State too. I think like I said, we've reiterated a couple times. Obviously, we're doing if the playoffs started today. I don't think the Warriors are going to be in a play-in situation. I think they're going to climb up and get themselves a playoff spot. But yeah, I just don't see them missing. I think the Warriors will climb in.
So we have our field both set in the East and the West now. So we will start in the West. And the first series is those Golden State Warriors, those scrappy underdog Golden State Warriors that we know and love, will travel to Utah to face the current number 1 seed Utah Jazz. Dunny, please tell me why we can't just pick the Warriors and have to pick Utah in this series.
Yeah, we have to. Just the job Utah's been doing. We mentioned they got richer. They added more shooting and size with Ersan Ilyasova. Gobert, even if the Warriors have a healthy James Wiseman, Gobert is going to be an absolute problem. He'll probably scare the Rook a bit. And then, I just don't think that the Warriors can keep up with the shooting, which is crazy because that's something they've been so good at for years. And they still are, decently good at shooting the 3 ball. If you have Steph Curry on your team, that's going to be the case. But I don't think he is enough to keep up with Bogdanovich, Ingles, Mitchell, Clarkson, Royce O'Neal, you name it. Ersan Ilyasova now. So, yeah, I think I got to go Jazz just through and through.
Yeah, I have nothing to add on to that. The Jazz are just, the Warriors, I love you, Steph, but that's it. That he can't, he would be the literal Jon Snow gif of taking on the whole ass army because that's what that series would be like. They would be mauling him the whole time. So yeah, no, we're going the Jazz have to. So we'll go with who will the Jazz face in the next round. The 4-5 matchup is the Los Angeles Clippers hosting the Portland Trail Blazers. And I'm not picking Damian Lillard, unfortunately. I can't get myself to do it. I will be picking the Los Angeles Clippers. Do you agree with that, or should we give Dame his respect in the crazy year?
No, I agree. I think this is going to be a chippy series. I think we're
Oh
going to
man, it's
see
gonna be wild.
not fights, our generation of NBA fights where there'll just be some scrums, if you will. But I think we'll see quite a few. PG is going to be talking his. Dame is going to be chirping right back. Pat Bev getting involved. There's all sorts of bad news. And both these teams are tough and are filled with a lot of competitors. But yeah, I'm going with the Clippers. Paul George has to show up in this series. I mean, if he goes silent mode on us, if he goes playoff P, pandemic P, whatever you want to call him, I think it's bad news. But on the season, Paul George is shooting 45% from three. Him and Kawhi are both having quiet but unbelievable years. I think that it's going to be too much for the Blazers to handle.
Yep, I'm with you there, man. I think they're clicking this year. They just look more efficient than they did last year at any point, more I don't know, combined. Like just
the rotation guys look more confident too.
Yeah, just everybody looks more sure of themselves. They know their roles better. It just looks more succinct. It looks better on the court every game, even though the record hasn't really looked different. Like you can tell the difference in these games. And the Blazers, I mean, that's a tough pull. That's a tough pull for the round one. All right, so we will go to the other side of the bracket, the Suns and the Spurs, which will bring back some NBA fans' memories from the early 2000s and mid 2000s when they were doing battle all the time. I think this year is the year, though. The Suns get it back over on Greg Pop's head. Suns moving on to the second round. Johnny?
Yeah, I think so too. I wrote here in one of my notes that the Suns' experience outside of a few vets on the team, obviously CP3, Jay Crowder, Booker, I don't know if you call him a vet, but I'm not worried about him in a playoff situation. I think he'll still get his. But the team as a whole worries me, but not in the first round against a Spurs team that I think they actually match up well with. We've talked about the Spurs a couple times too. I just want to mention this. It happened live, breaking news while we were recording this about 20 minutes ago. The Spurs and LaMarcus Aldridge agreed to part ways. So I'm hearing the Spurs may be trying to trade LaMarcus Aldridge, but if we're talking about a Spurs-Sun series, they would not have Aldridge, and that comes into play because that's someone who would match up with DeAndre Ayton. I think Ayton would get the best of that matchup anyway. But yeah, I'm going Suns for sure in that series.
This is only the start of the Chris Paul revenge tour. I just want you to remember that as we keep going forward. The Chris Paul revenge tour starts with San Antonio. It has to. It has to. Yeah. The Lakers as the 3 seed in the Western Conference, hosting those poor Denver Nuggets that are just going to get beat by LeBron James yet again. Yeah. I'm sorry, Meerkat, if you're listening right now.
If the playoffs started today, then the Lakers would definitely win that series. I think something else I had in my notes, the Nuggets, to me, have the most pressure on them in the second half of the season in the Western Conference. They made some noise in the bubble a season ago. Everyone anticipated them to be only better. MPJ hasn't really showed up. Jokic is obviously doing his thing. Murray's been streaky, but better recently. But yeah, the Nuggets for sure have a lot of eyes on them, and they better start making some noise soon or the criticism will come. Believe me, I know it will because it happened to my Boston Celtics in the first half of the season. But yes, give me the Lakers, give me LeBron. Even if AD is not healthy, I don't think LeBron takes a first round exit.
I just picked LeBron to win MVP, so I'm not backing up of any Lakers predictions at all right now. So yeah, I mean, it would suck for Jokic, but you were saying about Jamal, but like Jamal, I was so excited for him. I was like, man, I really liked him. He finally turned the corner, and it just has kind of gone vamoose, and it's not the same Jamal Murray anymore. And that's going to hurt them unless they make some kind of big move. They grab Kyle Lowry. They're with a team that can gotta get him. Maybe that helps them out, but I don't think Jokic is outgunning LeBron and AD just yet in his career. So the Lakers. So when we get back to the West, we have the Jazz and Clippers and Suns and Lakers coming up. So we'll keep that in mind for now. We'll start on the East, Sixers, Raptors. How poetic for the Sixers to have to play as the 1 seed, how it would have to play the Toronto Raptors. Sixers, I mean, I think for at least these first 2, Sixers we can assume are going to win, and then Nets we can assume are just taking that easily.
Yeah. No, I really want to see a late push, but I love this Hornets team, dude. I don't know.
Oh, they're so much fun. They've got all your boys on them too, so at least you got that going for you.
Yeah, I really do. But yeah, obviously, if they're matched up with the Brooklyn Nets, it's going to be an early exit for the Hornets and the Raptors. I mean, we were on the fence if they're even going to make it out of the play-in games. Obviously, no shot against. I mean, are we going to see an Aaron Baines on Joel Embiid all series? Like it's not going to work out in Baines' favor. It's not going to work out in Toronto's favor. Give me the Sixers. Give me the Nets.
All right, so the next series we have is a rematch of last year's conference semifinals. The Milwaukee Bucks hosting, well, not hosting, I guess some of the games they'll be hosting. The Milwaukee Bucks facing the Miami Heat. Is it going to happen again? Is Milwaukee going to get Miami'd once again, or are they going to pull through this time?
Oh, this is tough. Right now, give me Bucks. I think the Miami Heat is one of many teams that are going to be pushing to and then probably will make a move before the trade deadline. So if we see a different Heat team, I just mentioned LaMarcus Aldridge parting ways with the Spurs. If they bring in LA with Bam, I think that'd be a deadly duo. All sorts of talks about the Heats. We've been hearing Victor Oladipo for like over a year now to Miami. He just turned down a long-term deal in Houston. So I think, the Heat would have a chance in this series if they make a move and, create their a stronger roster. But Bucks right now, the way Giannis is playing, and Milwaukee's kind of figured it out as of late. They're doing better than when they were on that 5-game skid. But yeah, I'm going Milwaukee for sure.
Yeah, I just don't like what I've seen from Miami this year. I think they're beat up still from last year. I think that's going to even just have more effect on teams that went, but like Miami last year who was in the finals. I think we're going to see that from the Lakers and them once we get into these playoff scenarios. Like they're going to be dead legs some of these nights, man. And I just think the Bucks can't go down again. They can't go down in the first round. That would be horrible. All right, your Boston Celtics are currently the 4 seed facing the 5 seed New York Knicks. Oh my God. This is my dream series out of all the ones we have. Like I need this to stay
too.
Exactly how it is.
I think this is an easy ride to the second round.
That's what I think too. We're both picking the Celtics here. Like the Celtics aren't losing to the Knicks in the playoffs. It's not happening.
Dude, I don't even want to think about the terror that would bring just to my everyday life if that happened. But yeah, I honestly think I'd be surprised. I think I'd even be surprised by the way the Knicks play us. I think if that were to happen, that it would be a hard-fought series. But yeah, I'm going Boston. I think just the experience all through the Celtics roster, Brad's experience, I think they're going to be ending up near the Eastern Conference Finals again this season.
All right, we'll put your money where your mouth is. Sixers Celtics right now.
Give me Celts.
I'm not going to. I'm putting it on the record here that I'm not agreeing with this at this point. But I'm not picking either of these teams to go to the NBA Finals, anyways. So I'm good with that. I'm good with it for now. Do you really think that they're going to beat the Sixers? Is it just them owning the Sixers, or are you trying to hype yourself up?
A little of both. I just think, even Joel Embiid, when asked a few seasons ago, like, how do you enjoy this rivalry or whatever the question was the reporter asked. And he literally said, what rivalry? They always kick our ass.
That's fair.
Until I see it, I mean, obviously a new coach, a couple of new additions, but as far as I'm concerned, same core against same core. If we have a healthy Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker, give me the Boston Celtics until Joel and company can prove that they can win in a 7-game series.
I'll take it. I'll take that answer. That one works for me. I think there's a world where it happens, especially if they can pull off Harrison Barnes or something like that coming up soon.
Yeah.
Solidify this team, get them some help.
I mean, I don't think it'll be easy by any means. I think.
Oh no, but I don't think it'll be easy.
Scared going into that series for sure.
What we've talked about with the Sixers is still relevant. Who's taking these shots at the end of this game? Is it Tobias Harris? Because I'll take Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum over Tobias Harris. As long as the Embiid hasn't gone off for 55 already, you'll be fine. It's really what it comes down to as much as anything else. The Nets and Bucks, I can't. I'm showing my hand here a little bit, but I'm picking the Brooklyn Nets. I just have to. Like, there's no way I can see. There's no world that I see Giannis and Middleton getting end of game buckets over Steph. Well, I almost said Steph. James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. I can't see it, and I refuse to believe it'll happen. So,
yeah, I think Giannis having one true shooter next to him just doesn't do them any favors in this series. Jrue Holiday isn't enough of a bucket to be going back and forth with Kyrie, Harden, Joe Harris, Durant, Blake Griffin, and Middleton. I think it's easy. End of the game, end of series. I think it's easy to shut down the Bucks right now. I mean, Giannis is going to get his throughout the series. I'm not saying he probably won't average 30 points per game, but I mean, we've seen Giannis get shut down in playoffs. We've seen him get shut down in, just regular season games. I think the Celtics, I say this biased, but I also say this just because I watch them the most. And the Celtics and Bucks, have played each other regular season and playoffs a lot in recent years. They do a good job of just containing the paint. And I think, that's kind of been what people do against Giannis. He takes a lot of offensive charges, and he kind of just collapses at the end of the game. He doesn't have that shoot off the dribble ability. He doesn't have the outside shot to match the big three in Brooklyn. And then Middleton, I think, is just an easy, trap guy out on the perimeter if that's what it comes down to. So I don't see a world where this Bucks team can beat the Nets.
No, there's no shot. It's going to be a great series. I think they'll get some shots off of them, some licks off of them, but that Nets team is just they're going to be different when it comes to the playoffs, just trying to stop them. And when the game slows down, who loves to play when the game slows down in the playoffs and just get buckets is Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
now, I can't say the same for James Harden because he does not want any part of that, but that's okay. That's why he's on a team.
He's always played from behind.
Exactly. And now he's on a team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, so he doesn't really have to worry about it as much. So those two guys I trust in any playoff situation over most of these guys in the league. And I think that's going to carry them to great heights at possibly this year. So let's try to get our Western Conference Finals matchups here. Jazz and Clippers. I'm going with the Clippers, honestly, because I don't think the Jazz have shown enough to me that they can do it playoff. I don't think Donovan Mitchell has shown enough to me that he can go toe-to-toe playoff with Kawhi. Maybe this is the year that he proves us wrong on that, but he couldn't outduel Jamal Murray. And not saying that he didn't ball out or anything, and this team maybe has more help this year, but it's still a different level to beat Kawhi Leonard in a playoff series. And the way this Clippers team's been playing, man, I don't know. They're going to be tough to beat, especially if Paul George just at least, shows up. I mean, last year was a lot just a mental thing, I think, for them as much as anything else. I think they got in their own way. I mean, they were up 3-1. Like, they were cruising to the conference finals, and who knows what happens after that point. So I'm going with the Clippers to get back there, and then we don't have to hear about the Utah Jazz anymore.
Yeah, kind of crazy, but I agree. I'm going Clippers. We talked about how good, the Jazz can be because of the different basketball they can play, especially their shooting. We talked about Bogdanovich, Royce O'Neal, Ingles, Clarkson, Mitchell. But on the flip side of that, all great shooters. A few of them are good defenders, but undersized when it comes to having to guard Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I think if those two want to take over the series, and you mentioned if Paul George is playing atop of his game, I don't those are both guys who can shoot over Mitchell if that's the one-on-one. They can abuse Ingles and Bogdanovich on the perimeter. Oh, they can shoot over Clarkson, Conley, and Royce O'Neal. A Gobert being a defensive stopper underneath isn't enough to slow those two down.
Yeah, so we're in agreement on this one. I don't know if we will be on this one, though. Do you have the Phoenix Suns or the Los Angeles Lakers?
If Davis is healthy, give me the Lakers. But I'm guessing this is part of CP3's revenge.
This is my revenge. This is the CP revenge tour. Nah, this one isn't as much revenge. I mean, he'll get one over on his boy finally, and get to beat LeBron, and he'll have that. He'll be able to be talking shit to LeBron for the rest of his life. Oh, when the time we played in the playoff series, though. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah. He can chirp him for all that shit now. I think so. Maybe that's what it is. I think when I was talking about earlier about the wear and tear from the bubble and the late season teams, this is an old ass Lakers team, and I think this is a weird year. And you know who the Suns are not besides Chris Paul? They are a young team who has fresh legs and they're gonna have nothing to lose against the Lakers, bro. I think they're gonna be licking their chops some of those games. I think this Suns team, I've been trying to hype this Suns team up since before the season, honestly. Like, I really like the way they're put together, and I think that this is finally going to be the time for Chris Paul to get that kind of signature playoff win, because the man deserves it. He really does. And now we are setting up nicely here. So you still staying with the Lakers? So I'm going to track this. This is where we'll split.
I kind of forgot that I took them because you were just convincing me that the Suns will do well in this series. But yeah, I am going.
I'm trying to convince myself as much as anything else, but it's part of my whole my revenge tour here. Still gets to stay here because now we'll start with you. You get your Clippers Lakers. Honestly, the series that everybody has wanted to see for 2 years now. Clippers Lakers Western Conference Finals. Who is moving on to the NBA Finals?
Clippers.
The Clippers.
I think they're better equipped this year than they were a year ago, and better equipped this year than the Lakers. Just games that I'm tuning into for the Clippers this year where either PG is not there or Kawhi is not there or both. And they're just still hanging in games, even winning games. I mean, the emergence of Nick Batum, like we joked about it before the season, or at least I did. Like, I literally thought they were going to cut this guy. And now he starts. And
he's on my fantasy. I've had him on my fantasy team all year. I can't even get rid of him. I want to, and I can't.
Yeah, he's literally good. Like, he looks the worst, physically that he ever has. Like, he looks overweight. He looks old. But he still has a pep in his step when he plays. He knocks down. I think he's probably, if I had to guess, just from what I've watched, he's shooting up there with career highs from deep. I would assume for Batum. But yeah, their role players are just really good. Reggie Jackson's been great this year. Lou Williams is always going to, do his thing, especially in the playoffs. Pat Bev has recently acquired a 3-point jump shot. I talked about how important the addition of Serge Ibaka at the beginning of the season was going to be for them, for Kawhi to have his guy with him. So yeah, give me the Clippers in that series.
I love it. I love to see it. So we would have the Clippers in their first. I can't believe Ty B isn't here for us to have the Clippers in the NBA Finals. He's going to be very happy with your pick there going forward. I'm not going to make him as happy here, not nearly as much, because the final stop. I guess he's going to the NBA Finals now, but the final stop in the Western Conference for Chris Paul's revenge. Obviously, it has to be the Clippers. If Chris Paul was going to make the NBA Finals, it's poetic that he would have to go through the Clippers. And I truly think these are the two most complete teams in the West right now. I guess you could kind of say that's the Jazz, but the Jazz do not have the superstar power that the Clippers and Suns do. I don't trust Donovan Mitchell as much as I trust Chris Paul or Devin Booker, or obviously either of the guys in the Clippers series. Otherwise, I would have picked him over them. So I think this series just comes down to playmaking. I think it would be close. I think it would be a crazy series. I think it would be intense. Just Chris Paul makes everything intense, and just knowing like the shit talking he would be doing to all those Clippers guys. Like, none of them are even there, bro. It'll just be like backhanded shit. Like, he try to go through the bottom of the the arena again to go fight people. Like it's gonna be wild. Like it would just be the media shit would be crazy about it. Like it would be so intense. And give me this.
Going to be going up to the ref during like every stoppage of the game and be like, yo, PG's double dribbling every play. Like shit like that.
It would be nuts. It would be nuts. The Suns currently are 16-1 to win the Western Conference, which that's also a value pick for me too. But I really think that I think we're going to get a weird team that goes far in the playoffs just because I think it's a weird year. You're going to get a team, one of those younger teams is going to make a run. That's why I still like the idea of the Celtics getting in there. They got Tatum and Brown. They've done it in the weird years. Like they just have. The year they went to the conference finals there was a weird year in the East. Besides, I mean, that was a 4-seed Cavs team that they were playing. Like that was a weird year. I think it kind of lines up for the Suns that way in the West, depending on if my Lakers theory I guess it really just depends on if my Lakers and Jazz theories come true, which they could be a Lakers Jazz finals very easily, and we'd just be like, oh well, there goes that idea. But I'm sticking with the Suns for now. So in the East, are you picking the Boston Celtics to make the NBA Finals?
No, not right now. Not at this stage. No.
No, I can't. I can't either. I can't. It's as much as I would want to stick to my guns here for my before the season pick. The Nets are just a tank, dude. That's the I feel like the theme of our podcast for the last month has been what's up with the Jazz and the Nets are a tank, because that's really like what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean the only way that I think this happens is if the Celtics make a move and they start playing significantly better, and if I don't want this to happen because I don't wish injury upon anyone, but if these things with KD's thigh keep flaring up, or if Kyrie Irving takes another vacation, or if James Harden gets chubbier to the point where he starts missing jump shots. But yeah, I mean, those are just, some crazy variables that could happen to this Nets team. And I don't see that happening. So I do have to go Brooklyn over Boston if that's the Eastern Conference Finals right now.
Yeah, Brooklyn's gonna be overpowering, I think, and we'll see. Let's just get into it here because we have them alive going into both our NBA Finals. Do you think that the Los Angeles Clippers could beat the Brooklyn Nets for the NBA Finals?
I think they could. I don't think they will, though.
Okay, so we're on the same page here. Yeah.
Would that be? Is that considered a revenge game for KD? Like kind of against Kawhi, if that was like.
I like it. I'm down to let any revenge game happen.
That's like an asterisk revenge game, but I would like to see that a little. KD. I mean, that's just like we previewed this regular season game before, and it's literally just a mini All-Star game.
It is, yeah.
There's just so many stars. KD and Harden against Ibaka, that's cool too.
Yeah. Russ sitting on the sidelines all sad. Courtside.
This would be a fun series, no doubt. But I'm going Nets.
I really think this is I think we talked about it when we were previewing that game, like as a potential final series and just how fun it would be. I think it would be hilarious that the NBA would get their New York LA final and it would not be the Lakers or the Knicks, because that's just cool. Perfect. It's just perfect for the NBA that would work out. But the final stop here, I guess, on the Chris Paul revenge tour will end with him losing an NBA Finals, which is kind of sad for Chris. But you want to know why? It's because Steve Nash. You know how weird this would be for Steve Nash to have to play the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals?
That'd be great.
He wants it. This is his feather in the cap for who's the better point guard, and it'll just be well, I didn't play it. Maybe Steve shows up. Maybe he runs on the court. Game 7, he's like, "Fuck it, bro. Play your coach. I'm checking in." I'm just talking about that. But I think it would be a really interesting side note that he would be coaching against the Suns in that final, and another one of his, I think the only one of the other guys that could be considered a peer to how great they are at the point guard position on the other side. Yeah. It would just be really interesting. But I think no matter who I picked on the Western side coming into this matchup, whether it was the Suns, the Clippers, if we had more faith in the Lakers and Jazz going into the deep in the playoffs here, I don't think it matters because I think the Nets are just going to just rip through these teams. I really think that's the main point, I think, of what I got to going through this is that the Nets are just going to be – it's game to game. You might be able to catch them, but a 7-game series trying to outscore those 3 guys, I can't see it, man.
Yeah. No, it's honestly scary. Like I don't think we've seen a 7-game series with this much firepower. Like, do you think, kind of off topic, just came to mind right now, do you think the Warriors team with Kevin Durant was more talented than this Nets team? Healthy?
Yeah, just because I think I'd rather have Steph than Kyrie or Harden, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to for me. And I think that's why that argument is really interesting because it just depends on how you feel about all those guys, like that group of guards. I guess you can throw Clay in there, but I think Clay is the best shooter out of all those guys. So yeah, you'd have to it just would be how you felt about Steph and Clay compared as a combination to Kyrie and Harden. I would just rather have Steph than both those guys, especially in a playoff series.
And then prime Draymond to the Blake Griffin that we have now. Like,
yeah,
that's still like, that's like just an opinion thing. But all right, yeah.
Yeah, no, it would be crazy just to see the shot making that both those teams be able to do. But the Nets, like you said, prime Draymond on defense, prime Iggy on defense.
Yeah,
they would just be the Warriors would just be able to lock up. I
Sean
think
Livingston. I'm forgetting about those role players too. Yeah, I agree. I think that Warriors team is more talented, but the most talented team right now is the Nets, and I think that's why it just comes down to it. I think that's why they would win the chip if it happened today.
Well, the Nets win the illustrious Happy Hour Hoops halfway season championship. They are currently, they are currently favorite plus 300. They are second to the Lakers to win the NBA title. Not bad. Jump all over that. We're locking it in. Nets, as of right now, NBA champions. That will do it today for Happy Hour Hoops. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1. Follow Trainwreck Sports at Trainwreck Sports on Twitter without the O. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Give us all the 5 stars. Give us the best reviews you've had, like whatever you can think of. And the games will be back tonight on Thursday night. There are 2 games on Wednesday night, but the full slate will be back Thursday night. So go out there, go watch these dudes. Celtics Nets, big game, huge game for Dunny. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it out after the Nets game. We'll see how he's feeling.
You're Durant, and we have Marcus Smart back, so I'm feeling.
You're either gonna think that they're the top 2 team in the East, or it's gonna just be Celtics Twitter is just gonna burn down. It's one of the two. I can't wait to see it.
Love it.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Later.